So we are going to have a lot of opportunity to meet with parents, formally and informally. And in most schools, there is a scheduled formal parent-teacher conference that happens usually about twice a year. So we'll talk about those, and then we're also going to talk about other conferences that you may schedule, and some spontaneous ones that might emerge. So as you're thinking about that biannual parent-teacher conference, that's something you have to plan for. And usually you're doing 25 or 30 conferences in a short period of time, and it's kind of like running a marathon. As you think about structuring each of these conferences, I recommend that you have a general plan that you follow for each child. And that plan involves starting off with a positive anecdote about that child. I'll never forget my first year of teaching when I started a parent-teacher conference with a parent of a 6-year-old in my class. And so this was probably, October or November. And this little 6-year-old was definitely a lot of energy and required a lot of my attention. But I had a lovely anecdote about this child and how much I loved her and appreciated her. And at the end of that, I had a parent in tears. The mom was there in tears, saying it's the first time she'd come to a parent-teacher conference and heard something good about her child. This poor child was 6 years old, and already the parent had had that experience. Now, I had plenty of things we needed to address that this child needed some support with, but I still could find something that I loved about this child and that displayed my knowledge of that child. It's so important to parents that we do that. So we start with a positive anecdote about the child, no matter how many other things that child has going on. Then I make sure parents know that while I have further information to share, the most important thing about this conference is that I address their questions or concerns, so that I want them to feel free to bring those forward at any time. I've often found that parents still just want to hear what I have to say first, but I want to be sure that they know. Then I'm going to generally address the child's sort of progress, academically, socially, emotionally. What we've been working on, where I've seen progress and growth, where this child needs a little more practice in a general way. I might bring out some of the child's work and their journal. We won't have time to go through it in detail, but hopefully I have a few things that I can highlight and show the parent. Make sure that you save time for them to bring something up if they need. I've had parents bring a whole long list of things, and I've had parents have nothing that they needed to discuss. And either way, it's fine. If you run out of time, you'll just need to reschedule, since you're usually back to back with other parents, and that's fine too. Pay careful attention to parents' body language and tone, because that can tell you something different from what their words are saying, and you might learn a lot more. They might be displaying discomfort or frustration or agitation in their body language that they're not saying in their words, and that can give you important information as well. Now, in these regularly scheduled biannual conferences, parents should not be receiving any new information. By that I mean, if you have a serious concern about a child, that they're struggling to read or there's behavior issues, you should not wait until a regularly scheduled parent-teacher conference to share this with parents. When you see a concern, then you need to bring parents right in. Don't even if conferences are 2 weeks away. They should not be hearing about an issue or a concern for the first time at these regularly scheduled meetings. That's you bring that up, and then you can check in on it at the regularly scheduled meeting. So these twice-a-year meetings like this, be sure that you've got a structure that you're following to lead the conference, and that you stay on top of time, and that you reschedule additional time for those parents that need it. In general, when we're meeting with parents, Do your best to avoid Montessori jargon. You don't need to talk about cosmic ed or the planes of development, or, really try to avoid some of that. Be really clear in your language with them. Never judge their parenting. Never act as if you're diagnosing a child's special need. We do not have the training and knowledge to do that. We can't ever do that. So avoid some of those pitfalls that can create a lot of tension and challenge in a parent-teacher conference. As you end the conference, I try to conclude with another positive story about the child, or something that I just love about this child, to sort of end on a happier note. Schedule another appointment if they need more time to communicate, or if there's something that you've said you're going to check back in with them on, make sure they know the action plan and how you're going to do that.